What is going on, 2012 fantasy football players? What you're seeing is actually happening right now. Because of there's been a huge outcrying, by huge I think one person, that has been asking for us to get back together. I think two maybe. It's been asking for us to get back together and do another podcast. So we set up shop down in the Ask You basement here, where all of the real, true, good fantasy football stuff gets happening anyway. We're on Sundays. It's the place to be anyway, is down here. And we are halfway through this year's season, 7 games in. So I thought it'd be good if Ryan and I kind of gave you a little bit of here we are at the halfway point, our thoughts to this point of kind of how we got here, and then also maybe predict a little bit down the road, because we don't know if we're ever going to do this again. In fact, this might be the last time we're going to do this.
Well, maybe we'll do a playoff one. We'll see.
We'll see, but it might be the last one ever. And so we thought we'd predict it too from the end. So here we are. We're 7 games in. It's been a pretty good season so far. I think it's wide open at this point, and I don't know how in the world the standings come as they are right now. But you've got Panther Power, who is Spencer Leeds, sitting at the top, and this is crazy because I think last time he played, he won like 1 game the whole season. Yeah, but he's at 6-1, and then we got a whole slew of people kind of right underneath him. In fact, he's kind of funny. He tied a game. Well, we thought he tied a game a little while back. 2 weeks ago, he tied with Alex, and then the stat corrections came out on Tuesday. They missed a block kick from Buffalo's defense, so they gave him the extra 2 points, and then he got that win because Alex was asking what happened there. So he thought he had that tie, which is crazy because if that had stayed a tie, they'd be tied atop for the league right now. Right now, we got Spencer in first place. Right behind him at 5-1-1, you got Seth. Then we got Julia at 5-2, who also leads the whole league in scoring for the season. And then you got Amy in 4th, Alex in 5th, Kevin 6th, Michael Lieberneck 7th, and then round at the top 8, who would be the playoff teams right now. You have Andrew Briggs. So that's where we are now. I think a lot's going to change. So up to this point, Ryan, tell it to us.
Well, I mean, first off, I hate fantasy football right now because my team can't seem to win a game. In fact, this last week was one of the most embarrassing things that's ever happened to me. Of course, I had a bunch of guys on the bench, but Kellen, who's the Call Me Maybe, which also is the best team name that we have this year, he put the smack down on me pretty bad. But it's been fun this year. I had to do my first 5 or 6 games, I can't remember how many it was, when I was in Africa. And so
and the draft, which I did for you.
Yeah, which you did for me, I thought you did a pretty good job, actually.
Thank you.
In fact, when you look at which by the way, there's so many cool things on Yahoo this year. One of them being like the projections of where you'll be. And I was projected to be number 3 in the league from your draft. As soon as I started messing with the team, look at my record now, I'm 2-5.
Yeah.
So
well, I was projected to be like 9th, and I'm 9th right now.
So it worked out pretty well. But just one of the things that was cool, a lot of times when we did these podcasts, we would recap some of the games. Right. Now we don't have to do that. They do it for us, and they do like a lot better job. They go through everything. They go through everything. And so these recaps of the games, they crack me up because I think the headline for mine this time was I got beat down by Call Me Maybe or something. I mean, they don't pull any punches. No, they just go out, and then you can't get mad. They can't get mad at us.
Great stats too.
Because oh yeah, great, really good.
Here's my favorite one. So this week I was reading my recap, and it turns out of my 4 losses, every one of my 4 losses, the team I've lost to, it's their highest point total of the entire season. So everybody, when you play me, apparently you have your best week. That's the case so far. It's
about 5 because we're about to kill it this week.
Right.
Just throwing that out there.
Anyway, if there's any background noise, I apologize. Our cameraman today is Noah Brady Askew, and he's a little antsy. So sorry if there's some background noise.
And it's same stat. 3 of my 5 teams that I played against had their all-time highs as well. So I feel like that's part of it. But I mean, I put up 50 points this week or something, or not even 50. I think I cracked 50. So sitting right now, just kind of before we get into kind of what we see happening in the future, a couple teams are in pretty good shape for just to have a solid teams moving into the playoffs. You talk about Alex being one of those. He's stacked in a couple different positions. He has a lot of trade potential. So if those of you are looking for some players, go look at Alex's team. I don't know if he knows that he's allowed to trade some of these guys because he's hanging on to them for forever when he could get a lot of value for them.
For example, he's got 3 of the top 10 running backs right now. He's got Marshawn Lynch, Trent Richardson, and he's got Stephen Ridley from the Patriots, who's on his bench. And he's got 2 tight ends, and Owen Daniels and Jimmy Graham, who are 2 of the top tight ends also. So definitely got some good trade bait there. If he could use those guys, I really like where Alex is going. He beat me the first week of the season, so I'm I don't have to play him anymore after that.
Right. I think our trade winner so far has got to be Kellen.
This last week.
I thought his first trade was, Forte, and he got two solid starting wide receivers out of it. Was it in his favor? But I thought it was pretty decent for each team.
Yeah.
This last one, Julia.
Yeah, seriously.
I don't really know what you're thinking.
It's almost like she always has a good team, and then she makes a few of these trades to keep it.
Just to keep it, like a decent team instead of a really good team. Because she needs Brandon Lloyd in her lineup. Right. I looked at her lineup. Yeah. He is a solid player for her.
He's a good player.
And this Arizona running back, Stephen Howling, it's just, he was 4th on the depth chart when the season started for a reason. Yeah. He's not that good. He had one good week.
He had one good week, and that's just, but that's good also. If somebody has one good week, that's the time to trade them while they're hot. You know what I mean? And I think that was a good example. I couldn't believe that trade when I saw it, but I think that really helped Kellen out a lot.
It gives him 3 deep at wide receiver now. Yeah. With his couple of Johnsons. He has Andre Johnson, Stevie Johnson, and Brandon Lloyd now. Right. And then he also has 2 really solid running backs when Maurice Jones-Drew gets healthy again. He's got Jones-Drew, and he has Adrian Peterson.
Right.
I think his only weak spot, I guess, would be tight end. His quarterback is Michael Vick, so you never really know what you're going to get out of him, but he's supposed to be pretty good. So I think if I was picking a team that's going to finish maybe 2nd or 3rd, but has to be the favorite, the toughest team to beat, I think it's Kellen's team. Yeah. It's a solid team. So
I like Mike Lieberneck's team, who changed his name, and that's gutsy. He's been Shrimp Shack Shooters forever, and he lost 3 games in a row to start the season. He changed his team name, like a la Ocho Cinco or something, to Flight of the Phoenix, and now he has won 3 of his last 4. He's scored a lot of points this season. Even the games he's lost, he scored a ton of points. He beat me this last week, and he just had everybody go off. It was crazy. I watched the stat tracker this week because I was home, and I was just kind of there were so many games early. In fact, his whole team played early. His whole team was in the 11 o'clock game, and almost all my guys were playing later. And I was hanging really. It was like 32-25, and literally within 5 minutes, he scored 70 points. It was like 4 straight touchdowns from 4 different. Victor Cruz had the really long one. His defense scored a touchdown. Minnesota's did all like back to back to back. So it was crazy. All of a sudden he was up by like 80 points on me, and I never came back. But I like Mike's team going forward. So he's sitting there right now at 3 and 4, also in that 7th spot. Kellen's at 3 and 4, sitting in the 10th spot. So that's why I say I think a lot could change here. I really like both of those teams. And in the teams up top, I still like Seth's team a lot.
Oh,
he went crazy last week.
136 this week. 136. He went off. Everybody was in double digits except for maybe 2 players.
Yeah.
He was just, his whole team was solid, and he has RG3, which is just awesome.
Which is crazy, because isn't RG3 just like Cam Newton from last year? We drafted Cam Newton way later last year, but still, a later draft. He was the 12th quarterback taken, RG3 in our draft. He was taken, he was the 12th quarterback taken. He's the leading fantasy point getter for the whole season. He was number 1 in the whole league for points this year. And Seth landed him as his 2nd quarterback. He drafted Matt Ryan first. And now he has him, and so he's got him on his team. He can score 30 plus. It seems like every week, just with the running plus the passing stuff that he's getting. So I like Seth's team. Julia's been consistent, but some of these trades I don't think are helping her out very much. And then you got all these other guys in the middle: Amy, Kevin. I don't know how Kevin's 4-3. Kevin 4-3.
I'm looking at my projections, and I don't see how Kevin's going to win another game. I'm predicting he's 4-3 now. He's going to finish 5 and 5-7, 5-8.
Kevin's got the number 1 wide receiver in the league, AJ Green, and the number 1 running back in the league, Aaron Foster. So you got those 2, but then I don't think he has anybody else in the top 10 in any of their positions. He really needs a tight end. Somebody help him out there with a tight end. So I don't know the rest of them, and then. I think a lot of the other guys, down at the bottom, Spencer, I don't know what in the world, Spencer Chiquette, I don't know what in the world's going on with you, but you're struggling there big time. And then, we all expected Ryan Newton to be pretty bad. When you draft all Cowboys,
right there, that's all he sees.
That's right.
As soon as he sees that right there, he's just like, all right, I'm taking him.
So the first week he plays you, though, and that's the only really good game the Cowboys have had all year, which means he had a good game. They beat the Giants that first opening week, and so he had a good week that week, and he hasn't had a good one since. He tied a game when he had left a wide receiver spot open. He had somebody with a bye, and he ended up tying that week, so he could have just put anybody in there, and snuck out another win there. And then you're down there at 2-5. Jenny's at 2-5. And then all the ones we mentioned before. So wide open still at this point. I think I'm going to finish in 9th. That'd be my prediction again. I think I'm going to stay right outside.
Right outside the playoffs.
But this week is huge. This is another great
experience
thing.
Last year, 9th is the worst.
So this is it. This week, one of the cool things about us doing this podcast this week is we are playing each other head-to-head this week. And this is like quite the rivalry. And I mean, I don't know if some of you guys have been in the league for a while, you don't know the history between Ryan and I, but we've played 10 times, and since 2006 we played 10 times. Our overall record against each other is 5-5. 5-5. That means it's tied. So whoever wins this week gets the edge right there. So we are 5-5 all time. But however,
yeah, I always win in the regular season. You win in the playoffs.
Of my 5 wins, 4 of those have been in the playoffs. I'm 4-0 against Ryan in the playoffs. So we've had quite, and there all been some classic battles. I was looking at the points this week. I mean, some of them come down like the last point, last player, tons of times. So we're playing this week. I mean, I would call it like a Tom Brady, Peyton Manning rivalry, but that would assume that we have championships, which between both of us we have 1, and we've been playing for like 7 years.
Yeah.
So I guess it'd be more like I don't even know, like a Mark Sanchez versus somebody else.
Please don't mention his name.
Somebody else like that, like Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's who we are this week. So it's a mediocre rivalry, but a long rivalry at that. So anyway, that's going on this week. Looking forward to that. And then moving forward, then how do you see us as we wrap it up here? What do you see going down the stretch?
All right, well, I see, 8 teams make the playoffs.
Right.
I think, the top teams, for the most part, will stay there. If I don't see Kevin making the playoffs.
No.
I don't see Andrew hanging on to his playoff spot. So I think those 2 drop. So I think that means there's going to be 2 playoff spots available for either myself,
Kellen.
Jenny, Kellen, you, what is it?
That's about it.
Yeah, because I don't think Ryan and Spencer have much of a chance at all. But even if they did, that leaves 2 spots up for grabs.
Yep.
If I had to pick 2 teams, obviously being a little bit of a homer, I would pick myself. I like my matchups going forward. Peyton Manning's had his bye, so now I'm ready to just roll with him for who knows how long. And then Kellen has to make, the way his team is set up, he has to make the playoffs. He's for sure 1. I think the rest of us are fighting for the other one, in my opinion. And I think he works his way up there to the 3 and 4 range, and he makes it a pretty dangerous person there. I think to finish the league off, I actually think Seth might be the number 1 in our league, which is not a good thing. They almost never win in the playoffs.
Our number one seed.
So if I get in at the 8th seed, I'd actually be pretty confident in my abilities to win the whole thing. And then I don't know if we're going to do a playoff one or not. Making the bold prediction that the final is going to be Kellen, Dick, and Ryan Van Hoven, which would be myself. And I would go ahead and
ready for this.
And I would win my first championship over my lover, Kellen.
Unbelievable. My prediction, first of all, is that San Diego Chargers will be playing the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl this year.
Which happens to be our 2 favorite teams.
I mean, I don't know how that happens every time. The Chargers, oh my goodness, it's amazing. I'm still sitting here after the debacle of last Monday night, but I'm good. I'm still a fan. I do like Kellen's team, but not like you do, because I don't have as big a crush on him as you do.
No,
I'm going to stick up with the kind of the people up near the top right now. So I do like Seth in the championship game, and I actually think he'll be probably going against Alex. So I like Seth and Alex.
Hey, has Alex won before?
Yeah, he won one.
Okay, but Seth's never won.
Seth
really normally doesn't have that good of a team.
No. So I like Seth and Alex. I think it's going to come down to those 2. As far as playoffs go, I think I agree with you kind of, but I'll put Kellen in there, and I think it's probably between myself, you, and Jenny. I think it could be any of those 3 at this point, because Jenny still got some good players in that last spot there. I love to get in as the 8th seed. That's usually done really well in our league. So anyway, that's about it up to this point. So halfway through, get the trades rolling. Remember, if you don't like a trade, you can, when you get that little email, you have a day to reject it. It takes half the league to reject it, though, so you have to get 6 or 7 votes. I guess 7 votes to get it rejected if you think it's a super unfair trade, like you start seeing best friends trade things with each other. But yeah, get the trades going. There is a trade deadline, so I think it cuts off a few weeks before the playoffs. You can't do that anymore. Check your lineups, please. If you have buys, just put somebody in there. It takes 2 seconds each week to do that. Nobody likes playing somebody who left a spot open throughout the week.
At this point, I'll take a win anyway.
That's true, unless it's the last week of the season and I need it. But it's not quite as fun that way. So anyway, hope you guys are doing good. Get on there, get some trades going, and maybe we'll talk to you again. And if not, thanks for playing again, fantasy football, and good luck the rest of the way.
See ya.